Now, throttle body spacers are a little bit controversial. Some people think that they have a large effect, others think that they don't have as much of an effect on your engine. But it really comes down to you and what you want to use your Jeep for. If you've done other power adders, if this is something that you're adding on just to squeeze that little bit of extra out of your Jeep, then it's going to be an option for you. Now, there are going to be a couple different versions of this throttle body spacer, one for those of you with the 2007 to 2011 3.8 liter, and one for those of you with the 2012 and up 3.6 liter, so make sure you get the right spacer for your Jeep. Today we're going to talk through the installation of this throttle body spacer, which is a very simple 1 out of 3 wrench install. Even though this is something that's on the engine and some of you might be a little bit worried whether or not you can do this in your driveway, it's a very, very simple install. It will take less than an hour to do and anyone can do it in their driveway, but we'll talk more about that install in just a second. The idea behind a throttle body spacer is to spin the air as it goes into the engine, which will accelerate it, allowing you to get more air and therefore more fuel into the engine, giving you more power. Now, you might notice this in the way of fuel efficiency, of a little bit of additional throttle response, or actual horsepower, especially at the top end of the RPM range, which unfortunately isn't an area that we spend a ton of time in. If you've just installed 33s or big 35-inch tires on your Jeep and you don't like that down on power feeling that you have, I wouldn't go with the throttle body spacer right off the bat. You're going to want to go ahead and re-gear the Jeep, get it back to the factory final drive ratio before going ahead and adding other power adders. But again, if you've already done a bunch of stuff, you want to squeeze that little extra bit out, this is going to be an option for you. Now, this one from Airaid is going to be one of the more expensive throttle body spacers that we have on the site. There is an option out there that's about $100 less expensive than this one. However, this has that helix design on the inside of it, really designed to spin the air and cram as much air into the engine as possible, where that other version doesn't have that. This spacer is made out of an aircraft quality 6061 T6 aluminum, which is a very high quality material. It's going to be very strong and very lightweight. But then again, this is just a throttle body spacer. It doesn't need to hold up to a lot of wear and tear. This comes covered with a red anodized finish, which is a nice feature. It keeps the aluminum from oxidizing. This is also going to come with all of the hardware that you're going to need to get it installed, because you are going to need some longer bolts once you have the spacer installed. Now, as I said before, this does have Airaid's patented helix design. It has that corkscrew pattern on the inside of the throttle body spacer, really designed to spin the air, and that's something that you're not going to get from some of the other throttle body spacer manufacturers out there. Like I said before, this is something that anybody can get installed in their driveway. It's a very simple 1 out of 3 wrench install, and it'll take you less than an hour to get bolted up. Now, the first step in the process is going to be removing the ambient air temperature sensor out of the intake tube so that you can then unbolt the clamps that hold the intake tube in place and get it out of the way. Once it's moved, it's really just a matter of removing the 4 bolts that are holding the throttle body down. Completely remove it, place your gasket, your throttle body spacer in place, put the throttle body back down on top of that, and use the longer included bolts to get everything torqued down. Once it's tight, just reinstall that air intake tube and your ambient air temperature sensor, and you're finished. Again, even if you're not somebody who's comfortable doing engine work, this is something that you can very easily do. It's just a couple of bolts, very simple to install. This spacer is going to run you right around $140, and it is a very high quality spacer. It's very well built. It's going to fit right. It has the red anodized finish on it, and it has that helix on the inside of it, designed to spin the air that some of the less expensive options do not have. If you've added a lot of other power adders, you want a throttle body spacer to squeeze every last little bit of power out of your engine, and you have the budget for it, I think this is a really well built choice. So if you've already done some work to get as much power out of your Jeep as possible and you want every last drop, adding a throttle body spacer can help with some throttle response, some torque, a little bit of power, and as long as you have the budget for it, this is going to be an easy install. So that's my review of the Airaid PowerAid Throttle Body Spacer fitting your 2007 and up JK that you can find right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.